Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we begin pole day qualifying for the third annual Duracell Cup Series Daytona 500. It's going to be group qualifying here today. All 40 cars will take to this 2.5 mile super speedway here, at least in the first round. And basically the goal is to all leave in a pack. If you're in a pack, you're going to lay down a good lap time. The 10 fastest lap times will move on to single car qualifying for the pole position and the outside of the front row for the Great American Race. It will also set up the respective pole sitters for the upcoming Gatorade duels. See some drivers taking advantage, coming off pit road right now all together. That's Trey Wright in the 28, Cody Lamas, co-rookie of the year last season in the 84. Marcus Sachi back there in the 21, and rookie Aaron Macklin in the 93. On the left side of your screen, you will see the live updates of the drivers there trying to fight their way into the top 10 in speeds and those that are in the top 10 in speeds. Unfortunately, we can only show you down through 28th, so we'll show you the remainder of the field from 11th on down at the end of this first round of qualifying, if you don't see your name on the list over on the left side. So Trey Wright's about to come around and get the green flag to start his lap. You can run as many laps as you want to here. 15 minutes in length this first qualifying session, and then of course I mentioned single car qualifying for the second round. Trey Wright made it into the playoffs last season for the first time in his career, former winner last year at Manassas. Behind him, Cody Lamas, two-time winner as a rookie in his rookie season, returns to Michael Norman Motorsports. His two wins were back-to-back at Pocono and Richmond. So we'll see how he does in his second full-time season. Marcus Sachi drove that 21 for Team Chevy Autosport last season to a victory at Lime Rock, but he's now in a single-car effort in Sachi Enterprises as Team Chevy Autosport folded up at the end of Season 2. Aaron Macklin had a good first lap. I think he'll have a good second lap here as puts him up to second behind Marcus Sachi. The second entry out of KAB Racing Enterprises, one of 9 rookies in the field this season. Last year, we had only 6 rookies, so we've got 3 more than last time. Nathan Ormond, another of those rookies there in the 41, replacing Wyatt Quayle over at Joanna Atwood Motorsports. Ryan Butcher, back team owner for Auto Junction Racing. Ryan was a 2-time winner last season, both his wins coming during the playoffs, so he didn't make it into the playoff grid. He won the first playoff race at Coca-Cola, and then he won the 7th playoff race at Boston International. Another Toyota behind him, Michael Norman, the new sponsorship of Pizza Hut, aboard his Camry. Michael Norman Motorsports now down to a 3-car team. There were 4 cars last year, and I want to say there were 4 cars back in Season 1. With Norman, McIntyre, Rodriguez, and Poteet. So it's the first time heading into a season that they are less than 4-car team. Michael Norman was a 2-time winner last season. Both his wins came at dirt tracks, Springfield Mile and Fuel Motorsports Park. Big pack behind them. So all these guys looking to crack up into the top 10. As a matter of fact, right now, top of the board is Carson Gum out of Backmarker Motorsports. Sharpie coming over as a sponsor still. When he was the 3 last season, he had this Sharpie highlighter sponsorship, but now he's back in the number 19 for Backmarker Motorsports. Zach Rogers, right behind him. Rogers was in the Final 4 at Homestead, Miami. Didn't make it far in that race, but definitely had a career year. Had only 1 victory last season. That came at Kansas Night, but he's got 3 career wins in the Duracell Cup Series. Second highest in career wins with 5 is Jordan Lopez. Lopez last season was a 2-time winner, I believe it was, taking the checkered flag at Michigan, and I thought he was a 2-time winner. Maybe he was just a 1-time. I was almost certain he had a second win though. As I'm looking at the results and everything, no, he was only a 1-time winner. Okay. Johnny Gardner in the 14 made the playoffs for the first time in his career last season after he took a checkered flag at Dover to qualify his way in. Keith Batson in the 39 hasn't won since Richmond of season 1. Went all of last year with a 0 in the win column, so certainly looking to bounce back from that. And as we saw Aaron Macklin earlier, 2-car effort this season for KB Racing Enterprises improves their chances of maybe win at a super speedway, because now there's a teammate to work with. The 4th entry out of Blue Oval Automotive, Levi McIntyre moving over after the Rockin' Ranch Racing team for 2 seasons folded up. Levi was a winner last year at New Hampshire, got his first career win in the Duracell Cup Series. And Ryan Acosta got his first championship, as he was the highest of the Final 4 at Homestead, Miami. Ryan also got his first win last year as well when he won at the Paperclip Short Track of Martinsville. There's one of our first former Daytona 500 winners, Cole Baker, in the 11 for Backmarker Motorsports yet again. He was the defending Daytona 500 winner coming into this race. Would love to go back-to-back. That was his first career win as well. He would go on to win a second race during the playoffs at the Charlotte Roval. Well, Casey Nanico was a rookie in the 77 last year. Now another rookie takes over the driving duties out of the second Auto Junction Racing entry. That's Patrick Smith in the 77. The Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon something. I forgot what the other part of it was. Looks like he's going to come to pit road, though. Benny Watson, the 75. Benny was a winner last year at Rockingham, so he's gone the first 2 seasons with at least 1 trip to victory lane, winning at Darlington back in season 1. But he didn't make the playoffs last season. It was kind of a struggling year for that Outer Island Motorsports entry. There's one of the 2 rookies we'll see over at Northeast Motorsports, Benjamin Miles, stepping away, retiring from the series. He was a 2-time winner last year. Now the driving duties turn over to Jacob Thibodeau, who we saw in the Pedigree Xfinity Series last season. New sponsorship for Kyle Matthews in the Hooters Chevrolet. Kyle Matthews last season did not find victory lane. Or yes, he did, actually. No, he won at ISM. My apologies. But he didn't make it into the playoffs. And all 3 of the S3 Motorsports cars really struggled last year. They're a 4-car team this year, so we'll see how they do with one more entry as Jesse Turner, number 47 Aflac Ford, back. He's another single-car team that's expanded to 2 cars. We'll see his teammate in a few moments. Jesse Turner last season had, I think it was it 2 victories or 1? It was one victory, and that was at Watkins Glen International. Vince Almriego, one of a couple of drivers that are in this field, like Adam Garcia, Charles Sanford, they're still looking for their first career win. Maybe it will come here in Season 3. Vince Almriego returning to Backmarker Motorsports with Lays as his primary sponsor. Speaking of sponsor change for William Brock. We saw him last night take the checkered flag in the Clash in that Cinevis Bank Chevrolet Camaro out of Northeast Motorsports. And Ryan Brommer, who finished runner-up 3 points out of winning the championship last season with the new sponsorship on his number 9 out of Bulldog Motorsports, the Mountain Dew Dark Berry sponsorship here this season. Talked about a 4th entry out of S3 Motorsports. There he is, the rookie Cole Deaver in the Dale Earnhardt Sr. Silver Bullet throwback, the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet Camaro. He's getting bypassed by 3 cars there. Lead car is Dylan Young in the 2. Had a breakout season last year. Got into the playoffs after taking a checkered flag at Darlington, the Throne of Games 500. Nathan Hudson, another rookie in the field. Number 24, the other rookie from Northeast Motorsports. Been a long time since we've seen Nathan Hudson in a car, but he's back, and we'll see what he's going to be able to do. It's been a long time, as I said, so is there a little bit of race rust there? We'll see. There's the other defending Daytona 500 winner. Well, not defending, but former Daytona 500 winner. Took the very first checkered flag in a points-paying race in the Duracell Cup Series back in Season 1 when he won the Great American Race. And that's Carter Friesen, the 37 out of Canadian Motorsports. Jessica Shelton, who finished runner-up in the Clash last night. The Hershey's Cookies and Creams Chevrolet. Shelton had a victory last year at Armory Digital Super Speedway, but it took place during the playoffs. All three of the S3 Motorsports cars did not make it into the postseason. Adam Garcia, we mentioned that he's another driver that has not got a Duracell Cup Series victory. Maybe that'll change this year. Young Motorsports entry with the new sponsorship of Irwin Industrial Tools, who also have UPS on his car during the course of the season. As we look at Charles Sanford, another driver that's yet to get a Duracell Cup Series victory. Finished outside the top 25 in points last year, so certainly looking to bounce back from that. There's the second entry out of out of Lake Effect Autosport, I should say, Phil Parker in the 74. We saw him in the Pedigree Xfinity Series last season when he took a checkered flag on fuel strategy. Behind him, Mitchell Collins returned to Young Motorsports. New look for the Shell Pennzoil Ford Mustang, though. And then same look for Jack Mitchell, the single-car entry out of JM01 Motorsports. Austin LaPlante's leading this group. LaPlante and William Brock, the only two veterans over at Northeast Motorsports now. LaPlante had a win last season during the playoffs, so he didn't make it into the postseason, but he won at Indianapolis. Kissed the bricks back in Season 2. Charles Belden, another of the rookies here this season. Out of Backmarker Motorsports, the Krispy Kreme number 91 Chevrolet. And behind him, another driver that will be battling for Rookie of the Year honors, Austin Colano. He is the third entry out of Michael Norman Motorsports. Bet he will be leaning heavily on both Cody Lamas and Michael Norman for advice on how to get around this super speedway. James Qualls there. Went winless last season. He was a winner at Martinsville back in Season 1. He's got the Natalie Decker sponsorship last season. This season, it's Haley Deegan that he's running the colors to. Matthew Rodriguez left Michael Norman Motorsports the end of the season, moved back to Chevrolet for his own team of Con Autosport. His last win was in a Chevrolet for Michael Norman Motorsports back in Season 1 at Arizona. See if there's anybody in this group that we haven't talked about. There's one. He's actually top of the board, so we probably should talk about him, and that is Matt Haas in the 8. Actually, Matt Haas comes into this race the defending pole sitter for the Great American Race, so he's looking to go back-to-back seasons of starting on pole in the 500. See if there's anybody else that I might have missed. Oh, yeah. How about we talk about the guy that's got the most wins in Duracell Cup Series? 7 in total. Jose Mills was a 3-time winner back in Season 1. Or no. Was it 3 or 4? I think it was a 4-time winner, actually, back in Season 1. He was a 3-time winner last season. He won at Bristol, he won at Arizona, and he won the season finale at Homestead, Miami. He also won the All-Star race last season as well. 7 total wins coming into this race. Looks like we may have covered everybody. So let's drop to this lead group where Matt Haas currently is sitting. P1 with a 43.023. Zach Rogers 43.037. 14 one-thousandths off, and they're nose to tail right now. This late in the session, I would say that those zeros are going to make it, guarantee those two will make it into the next round. Right now, you've got, how about Patrick Smith? Highest running rookie in 3rd, Cole Baker's 4th, Denny Watson 5th, and Levi McIntyre, Ryan Acosta, Jacob Thibodeau, Phil Parker, and it looks like Mitchell Collins just jumped up into the top 10. So right now, those would be the 10 that would move on to single car qualifying. 3 of them are rookies. Sometimes at super speedways, it doesn't really come down to experience. It just comes down to being in the right place at the right time. And of course, for Smith and Parker and for Thibodeau, it was just about being in a big pack. Thibodeau's actually in this big pack here. You see him there, the silver number 33. Pretty sure Patrick Smith's up at the front of this pack as well. Cole Baker's in this group, and He's in the top 10. Looks like some of these guys now are feeling that they're good to go. I think the session might be completed. Waiting to see if anyone jumps up there last minute, and it does not look like it. So we've got the drivers that are going to battle it out for the pole single car qualifying. Matt Haas, the defending pole sitter, Zach Rogers, Patrick Smith, Cole Baker, Benny Watson, Levi McIntyre, Ryan Acosta, the defending champion, up there in the top 10, along with Jacob Thibodeau, Phil Parker, and Mitchell Collins with a last-minute jump up there in the final minute or so into the top 10. So, take a look here. We will show you what the lineup will look like for the current lineup for the Gatorade Duels. So, the 6th row of Gatorade Duel number 1 will hold Michael Norman and Kyle Matthews. The 6th row for the second Gatorade Duel will be Ryan Brommer and Jordan Lopez. As things stand, drivers that are currently qualified in an odd-numbered position, they would be in Duel number 1. Those in an even position
Drivers
would be in Duel
cars.
number 2. There you hear the command ordering drivers to their cars. The 10 drivers that move their way into the second round going to battle it out in single car qualifying for the Daytona 500 pole and the outside of the front row for the Great American Race. We're going to step aside for a quick commercial break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
I need to know I'm not alone. Now take it home as the night begins to fade away to yesterday. I wanna stay in this moment. I need to know which way to go. Now take me home as the night begins to fade away to yesterday. I wanna stay in this moment with you. In this moment with you. In this moment with you.
So the way that we're going to do single car qualifying is will be in inverted order. 10th fastest to the fastest in round 1 of qualifying, which starts with Mitchell Collins. Drivers will have 2 laps. The first lap basically a get up to speed lap. Second lap is where they'll try and lay down the fast time. You see that they actually have to be at pace speed behind the pace car, and then they take the green flag. So this is the first lap for Mitchell Collins. Obviously his second lap will be faster. You'll see on the left side of your screen as each lap comes in where these drivers are in terms of where they're scored in the top 10. Now remember, these drivers are all battling to be the fastest or the second fastest of the 10, but 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 9th, they will all be in Duel 1. 4th, 6th, 8th, and 10th, they'll be in Duel 2 later on this week. So Mitchell Collins through 3 and 4 has gotten himself up to speed, and so this will not be a lightning fast lap time, but we will utilize these first laps to find out if we've got someone that might be able to challenge for top of the board. So Collins crosses the line. He's going to cross with a 51.828. That's not too bad. And we'll see what he's going to lay down here for his fast lap. Probably going to be somewhere in the 47-second range, I would think. We saw in the first round of qualifying, top 2 fastest, actually everybody was in the 43s, but that was with draft. Being single car qualifying, the laps are going to be much slower. Mitchell Collins actually has some Daytona 500 history. Not really kind of history he'd want to think about, but he was the first runner-up finisher in the Daytona 500 back in Season 1, losing out in a photo finish to Carter Friesen. So let's see what the lap time's going to be for Mitchell Collins. He'll be the one that sets down the gauntlet for the other 9 drivers. 49.176. Wow, that's actually lower than I projected. So we'll see if anybody's going to be able to get into the 48s in this race. Track conditions can change. And we'll see if, as the session goes on, if the track picks up more speed. But a 49.176 is what Mitchell Collins throws down. Let's get ready for the next car. Next car up, going to be one of 3 drivers with yellow stripes in the back bumper. Phil Parker, the second entry out of Lake Effect Autosport. Phil Parker is pretty much, with the exception of Jacob Thibodeau and Nathan Ormond, the most recent driver to at least be in a car. And he is the most recent winner to be in a car that's not been in the Duracell Cup Series, winning in a fuel strategy race in the Pedigree Xfinity Series last year. Now, I was taking a look at the comparison of Mitchell Collins' first lap to his second lap, and there was a 2.7 second pickup. So we'll basically be figuring, I guess, within 2.6, 2.9 seconds that these drivers maybe can improve on their opening lap. Collins had a 51.828 for his warm-up lap. Parker, 52.021. That is just about exactly 0.2 slower. So we'll see if he can pick up here on this up-to-speed lap, but this is not tracking for the pole. All really depends on how they approach the first lap as to how their second lap's going to be. Collins, you saw, had a 49.176. If my projections are correct, this will be about a 49.3. Maybe a low 49.4. Off the corner, Phil Parker will head to the checkered flag, and let's see what he clocks in at. Wow! Closer than I thought. 49.192. That is 2/100 slower, but at least right in the vicinity of Mitchell Collins, and a great pickup on his second lap. Jacob Thibodeau is up next, the second of 3 rookies that advanced here into the second round. And as I look at our rookie class, 9 rookies in total coming to this, I think there's really 2 rookies in particular that have a lot of pressure put on them, just based on the fact of the rides that they're filling in. And I think Thibodeau is one of those drivers, because he's filling in for Benjamin Miles, who had a career year last year. It was his swan song season, retiring from the Duracell Cup Series, but he had 2 victories last year and made it into the playoffs as well. So we know that the car is able to have race-winning performances, so it's really going to be up to Thibodeau to kind of keep that momentum going. I think the other driver that kind of pressure, if you will fall on would be Patrick Smith, who we'll see later on here in this second round of qualifying. He was 3rd fastest in round 1, because Casey Nanico was a former winner last season in the 77. First lap for Thibodeau, 51.7 flat. That is the fastest of the 3 so far that have taken time as far as a warm-up lap is considered. So if he can keep up the momentum he just had there, he is going to easily surpass Mitchell Collins. That was a little over a 1/10 faster than Mitchell Collins' warm-up lap. Collins had a 51.828 and a 51.7 for Thibodeau, so we'll see what Thibodeau has here. If the projections are correct, he should be somewhere maybe in the low 48s, or I mean the high 48s, maybe on the low 49s. It'd be around the 49.0. As he crosses the line, let's see what he gets. This should be top of the board. Holy cow, 47.747. That's way faster. And like I said, it comes down to the track conditions. Sun may have gone behind a cloud here, and Thibodeau got a little bit more grip. But that is a lightning fast lap time. That might be difficult to top. We may have a rookie pole sitter for the 500. Next up, the defending champion, Ryan Acosta. And you may have noticed like a inflectuation of my voice of surprise when Thibodeau crossed the line about a 1/10 faster. And the reason is because I have all these cars, all these drivers, with the same conditions, clear 70. I don't have it set to realistic to have, any changes, weather-wise, grip-wise, overcast-wise, or anything like that. So I was expecting all these times to be within close proximity to each other. To see the 33 jump up to the top of the board in the 47s when Collins and Parker were only able to manage 49s really shocked me. So, maybe they just didn't have as fast cars as Thibodeau did. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's hard to tell in the draft who's got a really good car in terms of single car speed, as we'll see what Ryan Acosta puts down for his first lap. 52.170. That is the slowest warm-up laps so far before that have taken time. That is about a tenth slower than Phil Parker's warm-up lap, and Parker currently sitting third of 3 cars that have taken time. Now, remember, Parker had a tremendous pickup on his second lap and almost passed Mitchell Collins. So we'll see what Ryan Acosta is able to do here on his second lap, his up-to-speed lap. Ryan, I think now, after winning the championship last season, he'd love to win the Daytona 500. And we're going to find out momentarily where he's going to be starting that 500, at least if he qualifies in the front row. Across the line, 49.262. That is the slowest time so far of the 4 that have taken time. So the pressure is now on Levi McIntyre as to whether a blue oval will start in the pole for the 500. He's the third of 3 Fords that made it into the second round, but Collins and Parker have already taken time. We already have documented all about the fact that Rockin' Ranch Racing, Chris Dahlwitz and Levi McIntyre's 2-car team folded up at the end of Season 2, so Levi aligning himself as the 4th entry out of Blue Oval Automotive, and what better team to join yourself up with. You got a 7-time Duracell Cup Series winner in Jose Mills, a 5-time Duracell Cup Series winner in Jordan Lopez, and a 2-time Duracell Cup Series winner in Trey Wright. They are the winningest team in Duracell Cup Series. And Levi McIntyre, who got his first career win in the Duracell Cup Series at New Hampshire last year, hoping to maybe have a multi-win season this time. He's shooting for about a 51.7 on his warm-up lap. 51.837, that's not too bad. That's actually the 3rd fastest warm-up lap. So right now, he would be just a tick slower than Mitchell Collins if the lap time matches up. Should have him pegged somewhere around maybe a 49.179, something like that. Maybe a .18. Don't know if he'll get into the 47s or not. He's about a little more than a tenth off of Thibodeau's warm-up lap. Coming down to the start-finish line. Might get him up onto the front row. We'll see. 49.062. So he passes Collins, moves him up to second on the board. Next up, we got Benny Watson, who is one of 2 single-car race team machines that made it here into the second round of qualifying. The other one's going to be the Toyota Camry of Matt Haas. Mentioned back in round 1 how Benny Watson has had 1 victory in Season 1, 1 victory in Season 2, so looking for at least a victory here in Season 3, but I'm sure wouldn't mind a multi-win season as well. You got to think that this team, not having to share equipment, being able to devote all their time, all their efforts to just this one car, that sooner or later they're going to have a breakout year. And maybe it could start with the Daytona 500 pole. Ryan Acosta has already taken time. It was a slow time in his Toyota. We've still got Patrick Smith and Matt Haas in Toyotas as a 51.956 for Benny Watson. That is the 4th fastest first lap set down here today. And so if everything remains the way it has as far as how the other drivers have laid down lap times, Watson should be slotted in just between Mitchell Collins and Phil Parker. We'll see. Maybe he can top Mitchell Collins. He would be just about 10th and a third behind Collins' warm-up lap. So probably be somewhere in the 49.1s as Watson will head to the line. And he will put up a 49.204. So that actually puts him currently in 5th, just behind Phil Parker. Now, I don't know if it's anything in it, but if you look on the left side of your screen, we've got one Chevy at the top of the board, followed by 3 Fords in the 49.0s to 49.1s, and then the 2 Camrys that have taken time at the very tail end in 49.2s. So, is it the Chevrolets that have the single car speed, perhaps? This is the last of the Camaros that made it into the round of 10. And that's Cole Baker, the defending Daytona 500 winner. So I'd say right now we're maybe looking at the only driver, possibly manufacturer-wise, that can contend with Jacob Thibodeau to take the pole position away. And if he can't take the pole spot away, if he can at least lay down at least a fast lap time like Thibodeau, even if he's behind him, we're looking possibly at an all-Chevy front row for the Great American Race. Let's see what the warm-up lap for Cole Baker is going to be. 51.833. That's just a tick slower than Mitchell Collins. So as of right now, this would not be tracking towards the pole for Cole Baker. It's about a little more than a tenth off of Thibodeau's warm-up lap. Everybody's shooting to at least be in a 51.7 range if they're going to challenge Thibodeau for the pole. And I'm not seeing that kind of speed, at least right now, out of Cole Baker. But Phil Parker had a big pickup on his second lap, so we'll see if Baker does for his. Right now, he would be tracking just behind Mitchell Collins. Hits the line, 47.644. 4 more, the fool me. We've got a new pole sitter. So it's got to be the Chevrolets. Like I said, it's very deceiving when the cars are in the draft as to who really has a fast car single car wise, but I think the Camaros definitely have that single car speed. And right now, Cole Baker, 1 season after taking the checkers to win the 500, looks like he may be taking the green to start this year's. I'd love to know what the Chevys have done differently. They've run the same warm-up lap times as most of the Fords, but they just set a blistering lap time on their up-to-speed lap as we're looking here at Patrick Smith, the rookie out of Auto Junction Racing. All the Chevys and all the Fords have taken time now that advanced into the second round. We've got 2 Toyotas, including Smith, and the Dodge of Zach Rogers left to go. Interesting to see what that Dodge is able to do. It's the only one that advanced. Of course, Dodge only has 2 cars this season with Rogers and Brommer. However, bear in mind, both Dodges made it into the Final Four last year. Patrick Smith, first time we've seen him in a long time. Last time Patrick Smith took part in a NNSCRA series, season-wise, was Season 1, the only season of the Skittles Super Speedway Series. He was also in the Reese's Rally Car Series Season 4, but that was under the NRSL banner. Let's see what his warm-up lap is. 52.433. That is the slowest warm-up lap so far here today. And this looks like this may track him to finish out the session possibly in 10th place, unless he can really pick it up here on this second lap. Look at our rookies here coming into this. You got Thibodeau, you got Ormond, you got Parker. They were all in the Pedigree Smitty series. Nathan Hudson, we didn't see him or Cole Deaver since Season 5 of the Pizza Hut X series. Mentioned about Patrick Smith, Colano, Austin Colano in the 81 for Michael Norman Motorsports. We haven't seen him since Season 3 of the Coors Light Truck Series. Aaron Macklin's going to be making his series debut. And Charles Belding was back during the divisions in the Snickers Cup Series, but I couldn't find what season. As Patrick Smith crosses the line, 49.639. That is 4/10 off of Ryan Acosta. And that is a very slow lap time for the 77 car. It looks like the Toyotas are really good in the draft, but not good by themselves. as right now the final 3 spots are filled with Camrys. Let's get ready and find out what the Dodge can do of Zach Rogers. You know, I was singing the praises of Blue Oval Automotive back on Levi McIntyre's run with the success they've had, but kind of be remiss if I didn't talk about the success of this team, kind of the little team that could. The only 2 Dodges that have been in the field in Season 1, Season 2, and now Season 3 of Duracell Cup Series, and they've been very successful. You go back to Season 1, both Zach Rogers and Ryan Brommer found victory lane. Rogers made it into the playoffs. Brommer's win came during the playoffs, so he wasn't able to partake. And then you go back to last year, Zach Rogers and Ryan Brommer both make it into the playoffs, both make it to the Final 4, and Ryan Brommer, by 3 measly points, comes up just short of taking the championship away from Ryan Acosta. So this is a 2-car team you better watch out for here this season, and I will be very interested to see what Rogers does here, because, you know, we've already noticed the Chevrolets are fast, the Fords are right behind them, the Toyota's the slowest of the manufacturers, but where do the Dodges match up? Rogers crosses the line, 51.879. It's just a little off of Cole Baker. That is 4/100 slower than Baker, so let's not count Rogers out of maybe getting up there, breaking up those Chevys, or maybe taking the pole for himself. His teammate Ryan Brommer was 12th fastest in round 1, just barely missed out on making it here into the second round of qualifying. So both Dodges showing good speed. This right now, with where it's situated, with his first warm-up lap, he could be up in the 47s. He's got to beat a 47.644. Let's see where this is going to be for Zach Rogers coming off of turn 4. Where's the Dodge going to stack up against all the other manufacturers? Hits the line, 49.135. That's going to slot him currently in the 4th position, just after Levi McIntyre. So not quite the lap he was looking for. Looks like he's around in the Ford vicinity in terms of single car speed. And now it's time to find out, can Matt Haas go back-to-back in poles in the Great American Race? If you look at the left side of your screen, the odds don't look so good for Matt Haas to be able to accomplish that feat. Right now, 7th, 8th, and 9th of the 9 cars that have taken time are all the Camrys. Matt Haas, can he possibly pull something out here, get up into the 47-second lap time, and take the pole position for the 500 for the second straight year? Remember, last year, round 2 of qualifying for pole day was group qualifying with the remaining 12 drivers that made it to the second round. So you were able to use the draft there. You were able to utilize draft laps, which Matt Haas was able to do. Now it's single car speeds here in round 2 of qualifying in Season 3. So much different format, and I don't know. I'm going to be very interested to see, because you got the Chevys that have just completely blistered everybody else. You got the Fords broken up by the Dodge of Zach Rogers, and then the Toyotas at the very tail end. Let's see what Matt Haas puts down for a first lap time, 51.860. That is just around the same area as Mitchell Collins and Levi McIntyre. It's actually slower than Collins and McIntyre, so this right now projected would put him around the 6th position behind Mitchell Collins in front of Phil Parker, unless he can pick it up. Right now he'd be tracking somewhere around a 49.18. If he does that, he'd be the only Toyota that cracks the 49.1s. All the others, you can see there, 49.2 or worse. Off turn 4, I don't necessarily think this will get the pole, but we'll see. Puts it right up to the wall coming off turn 4, down to the double yellow line, hits the stripe, 49.196. 4/1000th slower than Phil Parker. That will slot him into the 7th position for the 500, at least for right now. He can improve that spot in the duel, but the Chevrolets completely clobber the field, as it will be Cole Baker. One season after winning the 500, he'll lead them to the green. He'll also be the pole sitter for Gatorade Duel number 1. Jacob Thibodeau, the rookie out of Northeast Motorsports, will be the pole sitter for Gatorade Duel number 2. He'll start on the outside of the front row for the Daytona 500. And just put a little asterisk after both of those statements, because they both have to make sure they survive their duels. If they have to go to backup cars, they forfeit their front row starting positions. Levi McIntyre looks like he'll be in duel number 1 on the outside of the front row with Cole Baker. Zach Rogers will be on the outside of the front row of Gatorade Duel number 2 alongside of Jacob Thibodeau. So your Daytona 500 field is partially set up. We know the front row. We're going to find out the Gatorade Duel lineups this Thursday. Hope you guys enjoyed today's pole day qualifying from Daytona. Cole Baker currently sits as your pole sitter for the Great American Race. If you enjoyed this qualifying session, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, become part of the crew today. We will see you guys on Thursday for the dual races to set up the remainder of the field for the Daytona 500 on Sunday. Till then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching a production of the NNSCRA, offline racing at its best.